anything that you're trying to trace, when did it start? Or how did it emerge? Or where did we go wrong? You have to start from the beginning. You realize that by the time we got independent and we had a structured civil service that was literally copied from the British system, people were very contented. They were specifically trained to either be secretaries, to be admin officers. Cadres are very straightforward. Technical people are doing their technicalities with the supervision and leadership of a bit of the colonial masters. And everything was fairly okay. Those early civil servants were not particularly hungry to enrich themselves. They were not greedy. And they were fairly looked after. And in those days, even when people retire, you will find that they never had anything. There are people who retire and they only depend on their pension and so on and so forth. But certainly nowadays, that's not the case. The motivation, the morale boosting, the consideration of the civil servant to be looked after, I think is getting weaker and weaker. Now where we are is civil servants, there's no housing for civil servants. Yes, there are programs here and there trying to build owner-occupiers and so on and so forth, but the impact is not as strong as it used to be. There used to be vehicle loans for civil servants. I don't think that is there anymore. And the salary reviews, the disparity. Look at an NNPC worker who probably could be on the same level as somebody in the mainstream Ministry of Petroleum. The disparity of their salary, even their drivers, is very, very wide. I know of some parastatals where the lowest paid people, like drivers and so on and so forth, are earning more than assistant directors, deputy directors. So that disparity also creates some kind of hunger for doing the wrong thing. Then you start asking questions. How come does, whether it's a politician or a civil servant who is on this salary scale, has this house, has this type of cars, whose children are schooling outside, who is going into private hospital, and so on and so forth? The answer certainly will be there must be some kind of extra income somewhere. And unfortunately, most of it comes through corrupt practices. There is no way the political leadership will get away in service with any corrupt practice without the padding of the civil servant. He knows the tricks of budgeting. He knows the tricks of implementing without implementing. He knows the tricks of expenditure without spending, and so on and so on. He can be able to package reports of things that were done that has not been done. And literally, that is where the system has found itself. And unless we minimize this manual way of doing things and go digital, it will be very, very difficult to pick the people who are breaking the rule. But we also have to look at the remunerations. We have to look at the ways of life. We have to balance things. We have to do everything to ensure that people become more efficient. When you are engaged more and you are efficient, I think the tendencies to now break the law will become less. These are very simple things if we are prepared to learn from others, but it becomes difficult if we just close our eyes and close our ears. And certainly COVID is showing us that you can steal if you like, you can accumulate anything you like, but there is a point when the accumulated, the stolen will not help you. It is because if your hospitals is not good and COVID hits you and you can't travel to another person's hospital, that money will not repair you. That money will not treat you.